Welcome to episode 4 on how I keep productive, and today we're going to talk about my calendar, the digital one. Hi, I'm Aaron Jones, and welcome to episode 4 of How I Keep Productive. And today I'm going to talk about how I use my calendar. And we're going to talk about the digital version because this is part 1 of a 2-part mini-series in this How I Keep Productive mini-series. And the first part is the digital, which we're going to talk about today. And then the next video will be about the analog version of the calendar and my productive system. I'll do that all in one episode because I do have an analog because I like pen and paper as well. But today we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the digital calendar and how I use that on a daily basis. So let's get into it right now. Okay, now I use a digital calendar every day. Probably many of you do as well. Now there are many to choose from, such as if you're in, for example, I'm on iOS, I use an iPhone and I use a Mac. So the Apple iCloud calendar, which I do use. But I don't use the Mac's or the iPhone iOS National Calendar. I use Fantastical 2. I use it on my Mac. I use it on my iPhone, on my iPad, and on my Apple Watch. And usually I have been connecting it to iCloud and using it the iCloud method. That way I can log into iCloud when I'm on a different computer and I can get into my calendar. But recently I have been experimenting. I have been using the Google Calendar, connecting Google Calendar to Fantastical 2, and it's working out really well. Now, there's a reason behind that. Now, many years ago, I used Google Calendar as my regular digital calendar, and then I switched over to the iCloud one, and I used that for many years. Ever since iCloud basically existed, I had been using the Mac Apple-based cloud system for my calendar and for syncing. But now I have kind of gone back to Google. And the reason for that is that I got a Google Home Mini. And I like that I can ask her, the Google Home Assistant, the Google Assistant, what my schedule is like tomorrow. And if I use just the iOS calendar, it doesn't connect well. Now, there are some applets that you can use on if then and then that, but I don't find them to work well. So I just started kind of switching everything over to my Google Calendar, and it works really well because I like the fact that I can ask, not Siri in this case, I can ask my Google Home Assistant when I get up in the morning and have a coffee, what's on my schedule today, and she'll just read what's in my calendar. And that works very well for me. Now, there's not much to show on the screenshots from here, but other ways I use my calendar. Now, I talked about using Todoist. Now, in my work Todoist task part of my Todoist, I have the calendar feed fed over to my calendar. You may ask why I do this. Now, you can do that for different projects, but for my work project, I have that one fed over to my calendar because one of the main features I like about Fantastical 2, and I'll kind of show a screen here, is it has a list of things that have to be done today, your regular calendar screen, and a list of stuff that is coming up. And if you do that, my tasks for work get in there. So in the morning overview, I can quickly see the tasks that I have to do in one application or on my close screen without opening up my calendar and opening up Todoist. I can see them there. Now, of course, I check them off in Todoist, but when I'm doing a review, I can see everything that's related to my work that I need to kind of get instant access to, and my calendar appointments all in one shot. So that's how I do that. Now, I do have different calendars in my Google Calendar or iOS calendar, which I used before, to separate the different parts of my life, which probably we all do. I have my work, I have home, I have my YouTube stuff, I have a calendar for my magic stuff, I have a public one for a calendar, which I haven't used for a while. For public stuff, I have a calendar that's public that you can check to see when I had public magic shows, but I haven't been using that for many years, but it still works, so I have to kind of get back into using that again very soon. And that's how I basically do it. Now, when I have an appointment, I enter it by using the Fantastical because it's very easy to insert stuff into Fantastical by just using regular words. Like I have an appointment tomorrow at 3 o'clock for work, and then boom, it's in there. It's all done. I can use natural speech. This is why I use this one. And I often enter through my iPhone in the day, and at nighttime I will do review, and I will clean up any misspelled words or anything that I have done during the day. Basically, I have everything put into there. Now, this is a very important thing to use for me to check my schedule. Like I said, I do my morning review, and when I do my morning review, it's usually from Fantastical Screen only, because I'm thinking only about my work-based things on a weekday, and so I have my tasks from Evernote put into there, and I have my appointments and stuff in my calendar. So that's basically how I use my digital calendar, and it's very useful. And of course, birthdays and other events, personal things I put in there as well, dentist appointments, stuff like that. But that's basically how it works this way. And so it's nothing spectacular. You just got to keep it up, and you got to keep it updated. I found this is important, that sometimes you forget to put stuff in your digital calendar, especially when I use an analog system as well, which we're going to talk about in the next video. That sometimes when I'm doing an analog, a long time ago, I didn't put the updated into my digital. And then the reason I have an analog and the digital, as I'll talk about next week, is the digital one is good because you can have it on your phone. You don't need to take a day timer like this around all the time. We're going to talk about this next week, or next video, hopefully next week. But you can't always have this around. So you have your camera with you, or your iPhone, and I can check my schedule there. Anyways, that's all about how I use my digital calendar. And like I said, I use it with Fantastical 2 connected to iCloud and connected to Google Calendars. What Google application, what calendar application do you use? What system do you use? Do you use Google? Do you use iCloud? Please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to pay attention to the next video in this series, which we're going to talk about the analog system of how I maintain my productive schedule. Now, that's all for today, and until next time, we'll see you then. Goodbye.